afternoon. We are thankful that you're here this afternoon, and we want to get started because Patrick and I have a lot of information we're going to actually try to go through on this whole topic of not trying to be another statistic. What are we talking about here? We're talking about people that actually try to get into medical billing or really any type of business. You can apply these same things that we're going to be talking about here today towards any business that you might get it started. But we're going to show you specifically how you can guarantee success in your new business by applying some of the things that we're going to be talking about today during the webinars. All right, so I know that we're going to be talking about some reasons why people can avoid becoming a statistic of becoming a failure, really in any type of business. I know we're going to be focusing some attention on what we're going to be doing here in medical billing, something that we found on the internet, which is from the Healthcare Finance, showing about what's called 5 charts that show how recent healthcare spending is rising. And I know that you and I have talked about this a lot, and I want to bring this out before we get to the next slide, or let me go ahead and pull this up. I know a lot of people ask, Patrick or Eric or anybody, can I do dental billing? You want to kind of address that with this graph here, and then we'll talk about the other part that we really want to talk about.
Yes, you know, years ago, 22 years ago to be exact, when my wife and I started doing medical billing, Eric, we decided that the dental market was just not worth spending time on. It's a completely different form, of course, that dentists file with the insurance companies. And if you think about it, not that many people, probably your own friends and relatives, don't have, dental insurance.
Right.
If you go into a dental office, you won't see near as many patients as you would waiting as you would in a medical office either. So the doctors don't, they see a whole lot more patients than the dentists do. So we just didn't focus on that at all. Now, there are web-based, cloud-based systems out there that will let people do dental billing, but it's not something you want to focus on because, well, just look at the little bitty slice of the pie there. There's much bigger pieces of the pie to go after. So I tell people, look, once you sign up all the doctors in your area, if there's all of them signed up at that point, then you can go after the dentist. But that would be hard to do because, well, like in the DFW area here, this is a pretty good sized metroplex, but there's something like 30,000 medical providers. So it would be a long time before you signed all those up. Our average licensee, as you know, Eric, only has a handful to maybe a 10 or a 12 clients.
Of course, and if we look at this, I mean, we know that if the physician and clinical part of this pie is $614 billion, well, the other really half of that is going to be hospital billing, and that's something else that we don't do either is hospital billing. But folks, if you can see by this chart, I mean, this is a big chunk of the pie of money that's out there. Brandy's asking the question here, Patrick, can we do optical billing? And I believe that we can, as long as that claim is billed on a CMS 1500 form. As long as that's happening, Brandy, I think any physician or provider that we can think of that utilizes a CMS 1500 form, absolutely, you can do that.
There are dozens of specialties out there that you can bill for, and they all file on the CMS 1500 form. That's just a standard government form that if you can fill out this one piece of paper, you can file an insurance claim. So probably everybody has seen that form at one time or another. But no, there's too many different categories of things you can bill for to worry about the couple things that you can't.
Well, I think it's interesting to see here that part of that. Let me go back over to there just real quickly, and that was we can see that home health care. A lot of people ask about home health care too, that kind of billing. Well, that's only 3% too. So, folks, you can see again where your window of opportunity is. Again, it's going to be with the doctors there. All right, there's another article that I know that Patrick you have brought out once before. And certainly we're well within the 5 years, and we talk about the growth in revenue cycle outsourcing. You want to first talk about what that is? Some people may not even know what we're talking about here.
Yeah, the revenue cycle for a medical office is, well, everything that has to do with the revenue, the money coming in from the insurance companies, from the government agencies, even from the patients. And so the doctors think of that as their revenue cycle. And outsourcing, of course, means that doctors are deciding to not do that in-house with their own staff, having to keep up with the software changes and the coding and that kind of thing. They've decided to outsource it to a medical billing company. So folks who go through our training, Eric, and become medical revenue managers, they are outsourced to, by the doctors to do their billing. And as this quote here says, this is going to be growing by 15% over the next 5 years. So talk about a window of opportunity. This is a great time to get into this business.
So in these two slides that we've shown you so far, we've shown you a big chunk of money, $614 billion. And out of that, we can see there right at the very bottom, those providers, those doctors, will continue to outsource to third-party vendors like yourself to avoid gaps and inefficiencies that lead to loss of revenue. That's why, Patrick, you wrote that book, Cash Crunch to Cash Flow. We were talking about loss of revenue, gosh, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, ever since my wife started doing billing back in the late 80s, there's always been a problem for doctors. Look, they all know that they can do the billing themselves, and they've tried to do it, but they're not trained to do it, and they don't have trained people that stay with them long enough to figure it all out. And so what happens is, yes, they're getting checks every week. They get checks from the insurance company, but they're just not all of the money that they have earned by seeing those patients. So we just maximize their revenue is what we do. We can take it from about 70% nationwide that doctors are collecting of what they bill, and we can get that up to 98%.
Yeah, certainly can.
But
well, we know that really in any business, and especially the business that we're in, this is the number one question for everybody. Why does anyone fail in any business?
Yeah, so if you're on this webinar today, folks, and you're looking at getting into any business, I mean, we know there's lots of other business opportunities and franchises out there on the internet. Any business that you're thinking about getting into, there's 3 main reasons that we've kind of focused in on in our business in the last 22 years as to why people fail in any business. And so we're going to kind of point those things out to you and show you why you don't have to be one of those statistics.
Right. So these are going to be the 3 that we're going to be talking about here. The first one here is, I think whether you're starting in medical billing or really any other business, we have seen so many people try to reinvent the wheel. I think I've heard even the trainer that actually trains our new licensees, Cynthia Anderson, actually say that even when she left our training class, she tried to go do it a different way than what we actually trained in the training class.
We've heard that so many times, it's almost a joke, isn't it, Eric, that people think, well, because I've got a background in sales or even business in general, I can go out and do something different from what they teach me and build this business even faster. And then when they can't, and it fails on them, a month or 2 or 3 later, they come back to us and go, you know what, I should have done what you told me to do, because as soon as I started doing what you taught me, I got my first client.
The second one is, and again, this applies to any business, in that you have no product or service differentiation. Well, that just simply means you have nothing unique to offer.
Yeah, that's big in today's marketplace, folks. When you go out with any new product or service, start any new business, if you don't have something that differentiates, that's a weird word, you from all your competitors, you don't have anything that makes you stand out. There's no reason for somebody not to go, with somebody else. So we've figured that out, again, over the last 22 years, is what can we have that makes it so different that a doctor, even if he looked at 3 different billing companies, he would choose yours every single time.
Of course, yeah, and we'll explain that here in just a moment here. And then the third one is just simply a lack of knowledge. I mean, again, whatever, a lot of people are trying to figure out, Patrick, wow, what business should I get in? Well, I may think about going to open up a sandwich shop or a restaurant or something, although I'd love to be able to go do that. That doesn't mean I know anything about running a restaurant or anything else. And it's the same thing here with medical billing. And really what's great is that we can take somebody that has had no experience in this field and then bring them and nurture them right along and then Gosh, man, it's amazing how quickly some people get started here. So these are the three things that we're actually going to be able to try to tackle this afternoon.
Yeah, so let's jump right into those. We'll cover them in a little bit more in detail, but there's the overview of what we're going to talk about. Now, folks, let's talk about the fact that you don't want to try to reinvent the wheel. I love that illustration there. Some people try their own thing, you know. They go out and try to do their own thing and create something completely different from what we've taught them works. Because, Eric, we've done a lot of testing in the last 22 years. We know what works and what doesn't work in getting clients. And so that's the biggest hurdle for most people. I'm going to go out and I'm going to figure this out on my own and get my first client something completely different from what ADS teaches. And every single time they come back and you know, say, you know what, I'm going to try what you told me. And as soon as they do, they go out and get their own clients. So
right.
We call it business systems for a reason. It's a system. We figured it out.
And again, that's what I'm showing right here is that we do have all of these different services, and a lot of times, Patrick, I know because of time and things that we try to discuss on a webinar, a lot of times we can't get to all 9 of these different services that we have here. Each one of them kind of plays in with each other, but we know that the iClaim and the EMRX, which is the electronic medical records, and the iClaim, which is the billing platform, that's pretty much the nucleus of where everything is. But if you don't have a way to, you know, maybe a doctor may say, hey, can you do some coding for me? Folks, if you're not a coder, or you know someone who's a coder, you're really going to be up the creek. And so that's where the Audit Guard and the Code Right would actually come into play pretty quickly there. So we do have a full suite of services. And I know that one of the things that we're going to kind of talk about here is this complete system. I mean, Patrick, you mentioned it, that there is a complete system of these 8 things. And I think we're going to jump into the first one right here, the marketing, and we'll just get right into that and talk about these. Patrick, you want to talk about the time and the effort and the strategy and everything else that's gone in about marketing here?
Well, look, we've spent literally over $100,000 developing the professionally proven marketing materials that are included in our training package. And the reason we spent that money and time, folks, is because we know that if you try to print something out your inkjet printer, you know, on a pink paper and hand it out to a doctor's office, it doesn't look professional. You can run this business out of your home, as most of our licensees still do. But that doesn't mean you have to look like you're running it out of your home, you know? And so having designed these wonderful, professional, corporate-looking materials makes you appear to be much bigger than you are, because you obviously couldn't spend the time and money to develop these things on your own. But being a part of our network of medical revenue managers, you have all this at your disposal. And of course, you get a huge supply, over 2,000 pieces of marketing material in your initial kit. And then you can reorder more, you know, as you need it.
Yeah, and all of these, the ones that are on the right, all of those are, again, as Patrick said, it's all, you know, commercial type of marketing material that you'll have, and they're going to be customized at the bottom. Some of these you can see, we've got a little place there that says space for your licensee contact information. So this would be your name of your business, your logo will go on there, your contact information on there. So this actually is going to come from our printing company. Once you tell us what it all is and you get everything uploaded to the printer, you're going to get the rest of all of your marketing pieces back to you with all of your contact on there. That's what's so specific for you. It's not just so generic that you can't use it. It's very specific for you as you're going to start growing your business. Another one here is, Patrick, is the support. You know,
sorry, I got to talk about marketing just a minute to Eric, because it doesn't just include marketing flyers and postcards like you see here, folks. We teach about a dozen different ways to go out and market this business, and that includes using other tools like, for example, we have my Cash Crunch to cash flow book that Eric showed earlier. That is a marketing tool that you can use to educate the doctor and the office manager on what you can do for them. We've designed email templates. We've got websites that we include. All the things that you would need to market any business, we've already included in our training package, folks. So it's much more than the flyers. I'm sorry, Eric, I just wanted to.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. And again, outside of the marketing pieces and all the marketing material that you're going to get, you do have the support. Now, this is where you can, with an immediate becoming a licensee, you have now the 22 years of experience right at your fingertips, whether it's through a live chat, through its phone, or through email. You're going to have a way to learn how to get clients, including, Patrick, I think you did the webinar last week with Dr. Vicki Ratner on how to get your first client. I mean, that's one of the other things that you're doing. Matter of fact, I'm going to put that book back up there, and why don't you kind of talk about some support that comes from the book that you're going to be coming out with here too as well.
Yeah, I've got an actual proof copy here that we had printed already. For those of you who are watching this live, well, I think it even records the webcam now on these webinars. But this is it, folks. It's called The New Thriving Medical Practice. He's showing it also on the book on the screen there. But this is the actual book itself. As you can see, it's a paperback book about 150 pages long. This has got all the information that a doctor needs to know to build a thriving medical practice. So let me let you read the subtitle here if you can't see it there on the screen. It says, How to Get Off the Hamster Wheel, Work Smarter, not harder, generate more revenue, and enjoy greater career satisfaction in the era of the Affordable Care Act. Folks, that hits doctors right between the eyes because they're all struggling right now to maximize their revenue. And we've got the answer in this book. You'll be able to buy this book for about $4 a copy. It's got a $24.95 price tag on it, because believe me, if a doctor sees this on Amazon and buys it, it's well worth that. But you'll be able to buy it for $4 a copy. And we'll show you how in our training to mark this book up with little sticky notes and also some highlighting in it, so that when you hand it to a doctor, they'll flip to those pages and read those highlights and maybe want to read the entire thing. We know doctors are busy, so maybe they don't read the whole thing, but they'll read enough to get them to want to call you up. And, of course, your contact information will be right in the front front cover there.
Awesome. Part of this, the other part, go ahead.
By the way, you can't buy that kind of marketing tool, folks. This is written by a doctor and myself as the the chairman of the Medical Revenue Managers Association of America, and that is the nation's largest network of medical revenue managers or medical billers in the entire United States. We are the largest. We process thousands of claims every day for hundreds of doctors from coast to coast, and we collect millions of dollars in otherwise uncollectible money for the doctors. That's why you positioning yourselves as a part of our company and using these marketing tools will be able to have something way beyond what your competitors have.
And then as we keep going on as the complete system here, you're going to have the opportunity to have all the business documents that you're going to need. I know, Patrick, whenever I'm talking with folks, and some of those folks who are here on the call today, it's great to know that you, as a brand new business owner in medical billing, what are you going to do about contracts or business documents or any, you can see right down on a sample there, we've got what's called a business associates agreement. We've got all of this for you at your fingertips. Matter of fact, you can have access to this licensee support site right before you come to the training class once you become a licensee of ours. So you get direct immediate access to this. You're going to need to build your website. You're going to need to know some things to get started here. And obviously, you're going to have all the different business documents right at your fingertips. So that's another part of the system that you're going to have. It looks like we've got a poll that Patrick just set up there. So, folks, if you want to start answering that question here, are you planning to come to one of our training workshops in the Dallas anytime in the future? So just go ahead and click that, and then we'll kind of read some of these out as soon as he lets that go for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, all we're trying to do, folks, is get a feel for whether or not you're serious or not. If you're on this webinar today, we take it that you are serious about getting some business started. And if you've been looking at ours for any period of time, maybe you have already decided that you're going to come to one of our training classes. So, Eric, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll now. It looks like everybody has stopped answering that, and I'll just share that result with everybody there. And you'll see that most people on here are going to try to come in, and the others are maybe. So that's good. I put the none of your business on there just in case somebody thought it was none of our business.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me say this before we go on. We're monitoring the questions over here. Brandy Cooper, I know who Brandy is. She's actually looking forward to come forward pretty soon to one of our training classes. Patrick, she is a certified professional coder. Now, folks, if you don't get that, that's someone's actually becoming a licensee, even though that they know coding. But she just wrote this up here. She wanted me to relay this to everybody. She just read that in October of this year, which is coming up pretty soon, of this year, doctors are going to have to submit 100% accuracy on their coding, very specifically for what's called the ICD-10. That's the diagnosis codes that the doctors have to fill in, and no more kind of getting close to it, or they're not going to get paid. So there is a window of opportunity, Patrick. You like to talk about windows of opportunity. There is another one that's coming up here, October 1.
Yeah, and we're thrilled that she's coming to the training class, of course, because we do see people who have been in medical billing or have had some training in coding and so forth come through. But she'll be in the minority in this class. We always ask the class, and have them raise their hands, how many of you have got a background in medical billing or coding? Very few. I'm talking about less than 2% probably of all the people that have ever come through our training. So you don't have to know those things. Now, is it a good thing that she knows? Yes, of course, that's a plus, right? Just like any business, any knowledge that you have is good. But you don't have to, because as you'll see, as we show screenshots later, all those codes are built into our system.
Of course, absolutely. Another part of our system that we have, again, not trying to reinvent the wheel, that's the topic that we're on, so let's don't forget that. The topic that we're on is that, you know, how do I not reinvent the wheel? Well, folks, we do this training every 6 weeks, and folks, this doesn't really get changed. It may get sharpened a little bit here, there, and the other. But Patrick, I know that we're teaching basically the same thing over and over again because it's a workable process.
Yeah, and we're showing actually a picture there of the instructor who will actually be here next week. She is our lead instructor, Cynthia Anderson. She is a licensee, has been for, I think, 8 years now here. And she's got the knowledge because she's actually building her business, continuing to build her business, has built a very successful business. You'll be able to ask her all the questions you want during, and she'll share some great stories of her failures as well as her successes.
Of course, absolutely. And then, Patrick, I don't know how anybody could even want to build a business if they didn't have this type of support. This can take someone who's just literally gotten started, maybe working out of a spare bedroom of their home, but then having, you know, someone who knows exactly what to do to answer the questions for the doctor being done for them day in and day out. This is the demos that we can do for you, for your doctors.
Yeah, so what this means, folks, is that when you become a licensee of American Business System, hey, is my video frozen on your screen?
It is. It is frozen.
Okay. I was uploading the handout for today in the handouts section there, and I guess it took up too much bandwidth. But folks, we actually teach you how to go out and get the doctors to spend some time on a live demo. We do that using GoToMeeting like this that we're using today, and we hook up directly with the doctor in their office. You can be at your home or office watching the demo and listening to it, but we're doing that for you. Our demoers, is that a word? Demoers.
Yeah, it is today.
Our full-time people, we've got about 6 people who do the demos for our licensees every day, all day long. They do the demo of our system, and it blows the doctor away. Eric, isn't the biggest thing the doctors say on these things is wow?
It is. Matter of fact, I did a demo for another person that's looking like they're coming on with us as a licensee who's had 20 years of experience and has never seen anything like this. So, folks,
Yeah.
we are, we're rocking the world of the medical billing field here because specifically some of the things that we do, and obviously we're going to share with you here in the second part, which is the differentiator. We'll show that to you here in just a moment, and that's another one. But again, Patrick, we have all the tools that they're going to have at their disposal. Again, not only with all the marketing pieces here, but why don't you talk about the booths here that we've got here? These are for trade show booths.
Yes. Now he's saying the word booth, B-O-O-T-H, not booze, B-O-O-Z-E. These are booths. You have to be careful the way you pronounce that. That you can actually borrow from us. Basically, nothing except for the shipping charge. We'll ship it to you, you ship it back, and you can borrow these. Folks, these things cost $4,000 or $5,000 to have designed. They're lighted, as you can see. They're very professionally done, and yet they're generic. They don't have the name of a company or anything on there, see? So you can use this for your trade show. We'll teach you how to do trade shows, conferences of all kinds. Even little tabletops can be used at your local chamber of commerce and other places where you can actually have your prospects come up to you and talk to you. So that's a part of the tools that we provide you. And then, yes, we've got proposal folders that you can see pictured there, as well as the Cash Crunch book, and now my new book coming out. And, well, just so many different tools that will let you be a professional. There's the proposal folder he is showing right now. And so, folks, that's part of what you get as an ABS licensee.
And then we have what you have. You have a suite of folks that are what you call medical advisors, or on your board of advisors here. You've got some of these folks up here, and some of these people are actually coaches that can actually help folks once they become a licensee as well.
Yeah, so folks, we literally can hold you by the hand. If you're having any kind of difficulties or need some guidance step by step through something, we've got people who can get online with you using this kind of technology and either have a video chat or just over the phone, however you want to do it, to get you the help that you need. This is invaluable. It comes as a part of your licensing fee. There's no extra charge for this. We'll do this for as many times as it takes to help you get your first client and as many other clients as you want as well. This is invaluable, Eric. This alone is worth our licensing fee of $25,000.
Of course, everything that we have here. So a lot of people ask, Patrick, so what am I getting for the investment here? Well, hopefully that you can see a little bit of what you're getting. We actually started this because we don't want you to go reinvent the wheel. There's no reason to go reinvent the wheel. That's why you're doing the investment. The wheel has already been made, and so whether you need help with the marketing or proposals or training or for us to do the demonstrations of the software, folks, that's what we're here for. That's what you're getting here as a business package, as a business system from American Business System. So whatever business that you're looking into, follow what they tell you to do. I mean, honestly, let's just be honest. Whatever you're going to do, whether you're just going to buy some information online and you're going to go start up some cleaning business, or how to start up a lawn mowing business, or whatever, someone's out there and has perfected something. And Patrick, over 22 and a half years now, we have been perfecting this complete system. And that's why we don't want you to have to go feel like you have to go reinvent the wheel on any of this, of what we're talking about. Patrick, you want to say a little bit about this?
We know that the licensing fee of $25,000 is a lot of money for a lot of people. Folks, when you compare it to other franchises and business opportunities, it's very low. It's probably in the lowest category. There are some that are $50,000, $100,000, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million that don't have the potential for income, residual income that this one does. So believe me, the reason we went through all these things is to show you that not only is that $25,000 worth because you get all of this, it's worth it for just the fact that we do the demos for you. You can't pay for that. The coaching alone, the training, folks, is invaluable. It gets you off to a fast start right out of the chute. And that's invaluable in any business. It can't even be touched by any other business opportunity that's out there. So anyway, that's my sales pitch, and I'm sticking to it.
That's good. Matter of fact, I'll say one more thing. I know that we talked about it today, and it's going to lead us into this next part, which is just don't, you got to have product differentiation. Kind of going back what Patrick said is that there are other franchises out there. We know of one specifically that is $100,000 that's out there for what's called telemedicine. Folks, we're going to show you here. That's something we already have built inside the system, and you have no territory restrictions. With the other company that you have to pay $100,000 for, you are locked into a specific territory. You're getting this technology with us right off the bat. So let's talk about product differentiation here, Patrick. I know that a lot of people are going into this and they're thinking, well, man, I don't want to spend a lot of money. I don't want to spend $25,000. I'm just going to go out and buy some software and then just go put that out there and go start doing medical billing. I think we've seen that, and we see that with other companies too as well.
Yeah, and that's the sad part, Eric, is, at one point we did have a server-based software system. And all that means is that software comes on a CD, you install it, in your computer, and it's on your hard drive. It stays right there. Or maybe you put a component of that on the doctor's computer as well, and then you hook it up with another component to yours, and you send information back and forth. Very awkward. We're back in the 90s. We're talking about the 90s, Eric, when that kind of stuff was done. But that's why you have to separate yourself today from all the other companies that are out there and billing companies by telling the doctor you have a cloud-based system. That is the latest in technology.
Yeah, this is truly starting to separate yourself from everything else that's out there. I think probably there's less than 10% of billing software that is actually server-based anyway. Everything else has gone to a cloud-based type of system. Matter of fact, we're wanting to show this to you, how doctors are actually using this not only on iPads but the mini pads. They'll be able just to go right through their visits. It's amazing what they can be able to do here.
Yeah, in fact, our system was designed for the iPad, not just adapted to it, but actually designed for it, because we knew, even before the iPad came out, that this was going to be the thing that doctors would want to use. So we designed it using the Apple's iOS on the iPhone. And then when the iPad came out, we knew it was coming. We just changed the size of the screen. So the great thing is, guys, that this is usable from any device that's connected to the internet anywhere in the world at any time. There's nothing that's downloaded. This is not an app. This is running natively right on the iPad through a browser. So there's nothing you can download or install or anything like that. It's all completely cloud-based. You could literally go to Starbucks and get on a computer there, or go to your neighborhood library and get on a computer there and start doing the billing and work with our system, because it's in the cloud.
Of course. And ABS has this complete system. Here's another, again, we're talking about a complete system. We've shown you all of the aspects of what you get from us as a licensee, so you don't have to go reinvent yourself out there. Now you have a complete billing system. Let's kind of go from left over to right and kind of right around the clock here. iClaim, that's the practice management system. That's the billing system. EMRX is the EMR, electronic medical record system. Number 3 is the patient portal. That's the great thing, because we already have e-visits or telemedicine already built inside there. It works with the EMRX system. It's beautiful how it already works. And then the other part that's a differentiator is the last thing about a clearinghouse, and I know, Patrick, you're going to kind of talk about that just briefly. But again, as Patrick said, and not to belittle so much more about this, it is a web-based system. When you log in, you're logging into the latest and the greatest updates with all the new codes, whatever it might be. That's all there on the billing side. And then also on the EMRX side, all the new codes, all the ICD-10 codes, everything that's there, it helps the doctors. If they don't remember what the new ICD-10 codes are, they can actually click on the ICD-9 search there, check it out, and it's going to make sure that the doctor has the right specific ICD-10 code. And that's where we were talking about earlier. This is what's going to help you differentiate yourself coming here this October. Patrick, I cannot, you talk, again, I talk about that window of opportunity. Our system is going to give people that are on our webinar today and people that are going to listen this kind of advantage right out of the gate.
Yeah, so think of it this way. The iClaim is the billing system. It's the practice management system. It runs the entire practice because it has a scheduler built in and all kinds of things. You can give access to the doctor through that. The electronic medical records is what the doctor actually uses on their iPad to interact and see the patients, although it can run, of course, on a desktop computer as illustrated here too. But the point is, we've got both all system, folks. These are not pieced together. These are not two different softwares that are trying to work together and integrate. This is all written by, our programmers that we put into a room, lock the doors, we throw them pizza every once in a while and some pizza, Pepsi, and they're just happy as a lark. But they have made all of this work together, and then once all that data is in there, you can submit the claims using our built-in clearinghouse. So let's talk about clearinghouses just for a second there, because a lot of people have a misconception of what those are, and they've heard that they're, something that's you want to pick on your own, because there are about a dozen good clearinghouses out there. These are third-party companies that are set up that have just decided, I'm going to take all the data from the medical billing companies or from doctors and reformat that in a way that allows the insurance companies to work with it. So as it says here, it acts as a direct portal to the insurance payers, and it catches those errors first and prompts you to make corrections before submission to the payers. So a clearinghouse is a very good thing. Most people don't realize you have to set up with one, you have to make sure everything works with it, and you have to pay a fee for every one of those claims that go through it. So for us, this provides you folks a unique difference in the market. Why? Because we have lower rejections and expedited reimbursements. Why? Because it's a part of our system. We are the clearinghouse. You don't have to submit it to a third party and worry about whether or not they're going to get it submitted correctly. We handle that up for you, and that's why our rejection rate is nationwide less than 2%.
Less than 2%. There's no doubt about it. So let's kind of take a look at all of this, and this is the other part that we want to show you, and that's the patient portal. Again, that's also integrated into there. Patrick, this is awesome because, folks, if you were to log into our patient portal, you would see that if you were the patient, you could figure out what balances or what you have to do with the doctor. You can schedule appointments there. And, folks, you can actually check in to your doctor. And this is where, again, for those that are really technical out there and are looking at maybe some different types of franchises or anything else, this is where you can literally be able to have that televisit with the doctor or telemedicine or an e-visit with the doctor right through here. Yeah. So you've got all the... Yep.
I'm sorry. Eric actually illustrated this for us today on our company meeting. We have a company meeting using GoToMeeting here once a week, and he actually illustrated it. And you can see the doctor in one screen and the patient in another. In this case, Eric was the doctor and the patient. But anyway, it was a great illustration of how this can work, folks, because this is the future, no doubt. Eventually, a lot of visits will be done using the computer, using your iPad. There's no need to go and see the doctor for a lot of things. And so since the doctor in a lot of states are now being able to bill for the telemedicine, it's the future. We've already got it. It's already built into our system.
It's already there. And folks, if we can, we'll maybe hopefully one day in the near future, we'll kind of demonstrate this for you on a webinar too as well. It's just too much to be able to try to show you all in one spot. But let's kind of just do the whole scenario from start to finish. Again, here you imagine you're going to have a platform that the doctor's patients will have access to from their home, whether it's an iPad or, again, their computer. They're going to send all their information that's going to go directly to the doctor. It's going to go in the EMRX or the electronic medical records. It's going to expedite how quickly that doctor is going to be able to see that patient. Once the doctor's through with that note, that doctor's going to send that information that's going to go directly into the iClaim platform. That's where you, as a medical billing company, will take that claim, process that claim, and then as you're processing that claim, it's going to go through our clearinghouse simultaneously. This is where we will be able to demonstrate to the doctors that we can reduce the time it takes them to get paid from 30 to 60 days down to 7 to 10 days, increase their revenues because we've lowered the rejection rate. There's your differentiator here. That's why, folks, becoming a brand new licensee, that's why a doctor will want to sit and talk with you. Because from there, we're going to be able to deliver all of those claims directly to the insurance companies. And eventually, the doctor gets paid quicker, and obviously, you get paid quicker as well. Patrick, you want to talk about anything else here before we move to the last one here?
I think we got to move on, Eric. We got 15 minutes, and we sure want to cover the third point here, which of course is lack of knowledge. Folks, in any business, the reason why a lot of people don't make it is because they just don't know enough about the business. They haven't been taught enough. They don't have ongoing training. We do webinars, about once a week now for our licensees, where we keep them up on all the changes that are coming down the pike in the medical field and in this specific field of medical billing. So we keep you up on all this kind of stuff. You've got to have continual knowledge to make it in any category of business today. So don't be a statistic, folks. Make sure that you get with a business that says, we're going to hold your hand and continue to educate you as you grow in your business.
I know one of the things is when we talk about there's a lack of knowledge, and I know a lot of people, Patrick, actually want to go try to test the market, try to begin marketing before becoming a licensee. And they want to see if they can gather some leads in just to make sure that this is a real type business. But we know what happens if you have a lack of knowledge on some of the things that we're going to show you here in just a moment, how quickly you're going to burn those leads. Your best lead could be the lead that you probably go try to see. Well, let me go see if I can go see if there's a market for this out there. Patrick, I've heard it once. If I've heard it once, I've heard it 100 times. Let me go try to go talk with my doctor. Patrick, what would you recommend people right now on the webinar? Take your time where you just look and talk to people right face to face. What do you need to tell these folks?
Well, here's my personal recommendation. If you're thinking about getting started in medical billing and learning more about it, please don't ruin your best lead. Your best lead is your own doctor. And if you approach your doctor and don't have the answers to the question, see, we're talking about lack of knowledge here being one of the reasons people fail. If you don't have the right answers, you're not going to impress that doctor. You can't say, oh, to every question he asks, you know what, I'm going to learn that, when I go to training, I'll let you know when I get back. You should just put that off, relax, take a breath, come to our training week, and once you've learned the knowledge you need, now you can go back and talk intelligently with your doctor or any other doctor that you want to talk to.
Yeah, and don't just go feel like you can go ask my doctor. I'm going to go see if he thinks or she might think this is a good business to get into. Let me tell you, they're already hurting. Patrick and Dr. Vicki Rackner wrote a book on the new thriving medical practice. Why? Because doctors hate medical billing already. So they themselves. That's correct. So folks, just be careful when you go out there. The other thing is that you just may not know about what the revenue cycle management is all about. That's what we're going to teach you. That's what the whole week of training is all about. So you're going to want to know what it means, what it talks about claims submission or claims management or reporting or claims preparation. Folks, you've got to know some of these terminologies. Talking about terminologies, you know, if you go talk to the doctor and they say, all right, let's talk about, do you know anything about ICD-10? And if you kind of have a blank stare on your face right off the bat, you've just given yourself away that you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you may, like Eric said, you may want to know what your doctor thinks about it. Look, your doctor may think that their billing is under control, right? Maybe he's outsourced it to another company, or maybe his own staff is doing it, and he thinks everything is fine. He may not know the facts, but he thinks he's okay, and therefore he thinks, well, why would you want to get into medical billing? I'm doing my own billing, and all doctors do their own billing. Well, they don't, but maybe the doctors he knows all do their own billing, so he doesn't think that there's a market. So, folks, you can't take what your own personal doctor, their opinion about this business is. Read and study all the information on our website, and you'll find that this is a real business and that there's a huge market for doctors who do want to outsource their billing. They just have to be educated.
And Patrick, you want to take this one because this kind of gets into maybe you not even know what kind of questions to ask.
Yes, a lot of times you go out to a doctor and you might start asking some questions about things and not really even know what to gather. So, folks, we have spent, again, many, many dollars and time over the past 22 years coming up with what we call our practice analysis. You'll see that on the left-hand side here. This is a practice analysis questionnaire. It's actually 3 pages long, so there's a lot of questions on there, and we've redacted the real one there, looks like. And then on the right-hand side, we'll show you how to take the information from those questions that you asked the doctor and put them into what we call the practice revenue report. We're going to do a webinar next week on that for our licensees, Eric, and we've revised it recently, and we're going to go through it step by step. But, folks, we'll go through this in the training class, too, when you come to the live training. And, folks, the bottom line is, look at this particular one. The bottom line is you're going to increase the revenue for this particular doctor per year. Eric, what is that? Is that $201,000?
$321,000.
Yeah. So, folks, if you even had a number that was 1/3 that, the doctor's going to set up and pay attention, right? And so this does all the selling for you, but you have to know what questions to ask, and we'll teach you exactly what those questions are and how to ask them.
And then, folks, you may know what to ask, and you may have the answers to everything. But, folks, again, if you get down to it, you may not have the right system to be able to have in place, and therefore you don't have anywhere to go. And so, again, that's kind of all talking about the marketing. You're trying to go out there and pre-market or do anything else. You want to be able to have a complete system as we've talked about here. So, Patrick, I know we've talked a lot already, those three categories here about the 3 things that people make them fail, but gosh, the last thing is, what about support? Man, if you're just out there trying to do it all on your own and you don't have support, again, you're going to fall flat on your face. Why don't you really quickly tell everybody what you've been able to do to increase our support here and really beef up what we can do to help our brand new licensees?
Well, most business opportunities will include a year or maybe even 2 years of support. We used to do that. I think it was 2 years. And at one point, I decided that we need to support people as long as they are licensees. That is, as long as they're doing billing through our system, we're going to provide that support. And we're not going to charge them another $1,000 a year like some companies do. We're going to include that at no cost. Now, let me explain why we can do that. It's very important that you understand that even though we do make money, of course, on our initial licensing fee that you pay, our company has been set up so we actually make money on the claims that are going through the system. In other words, our technology partners share with us some of the revenue that the doctors are actually paying you to utilize our system. Right. And so on the back end, we're actually making money for every client that you sign up. Doesn't it make sense that we should support you as much as we can? It's the American way, right? You make money, we make money, and everybody's happy.
Absolutely.